Okay, hello. In my Arduino course, one of the most requested videos that I get is to talk about how to use Visual Studio Code with PlatformIO. Normally, if you work with Arduino and you're just kind of taking a basic class and you're just plugging in sensors and copying C code, you don't need to work with Visual Studio Code, but I'm teaching how to build computers, how to work with microcontrollers, low level. We don't use the Arduino development environment. We use Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code was created by Microsoft, and now it's become open source. And that means thousands of people have contributed thousands of plugins to it. So it supports C, it supports Python, C++. In my course, we do C. We don't do C++ because we're learning about memory. But also, the Arduino plugin for VSCode does not have wide support, because most people working with Arduino would be working with the Arduino IDE. But PlatformIO is used by embedded systems engineers and anyone working with hardware. So it's got, if we look at it, we'll look at it in a minute, it's got 6 million downloads. It works with all kinds of microcontrollers and different hardware boards. Arduino Uno is just one of them. So we're going to work with that. We're going to install, I'm going to show you how to set up VSCode, how to get Git working. Git is GitHub. If you look on GitHub, you'll see that practically every software company puts their code out there. DeepSeek has their entire AI out there for free, because I guess no one's using it. You put it out there for free, which is what Facebook's doing. They're trying to get, you can get followers that way. Google Chrome, the whole source code for Chromium is out there. But anyway, so I'm setting this up on the MacBook. I've done what I can to wipe out from my Mac whatever I have set up. Now, some things you need to have in place. First is you need to create a GitHub account. Go to github.com and create an account. You might need to copy SSH keys. GitHub does not let you use a password anymore. Most systems are moving away from passwords. And then we're going to also install Windsurf, because see, Visual Studio Code gives Microsoft this huge platform to sell GitHub Copilot. Microsoft bought GitHub, but the problem with GitHub Copilot, which is what most people have been using, people in business and myself, is they started charging for it, but not at a fixed price, at a per token price. Like, that's like using Claude Fable. You have to pay by the minute. No way, I'm not going to do that. I'll sign up for something with a fixed price, which is how I pay for Claude and for ChatGPT. But my students don't pay for anything. So we're going to use the Windsurf plugin, which will give us code completion, some AI capabilities, and so forth. But anyway, so if you got a Windows computer, you don't have Bash, and you don't have Git automatically installed, so I'll give you some written instructions about that, but everything else will be the same. But on the Mac, it already comes with the Bash terminal. The Mac is built on the same Unix kernel or Unix idea that led to Linux, Android, Ubuntu, and so forth. So Mac is kind of a Unix-based system. Windows is not. It's completely different architecture. But we use command lines to create directories and copy files, and not using, there's not any screen like in Windows in the large systems I've worked with in business. So you need to be doing what the professional programmers do. Put away the toys, get the real GitHub, Bash, and don't use Arduino's plugin for the Arduino card, and don't use their IDE, but use VSCode, which has got 100 million downloads, and then PlatformIO. Okay, so now I'm going to walk you through step by step of what you need to do. Thank you. Okay, first, so we're going to download Visual Studio Code. Okay, Visual Studio Code was written by Microsoft, but then given away as open source. So it supports many programming languages, many tools. Some people use Eclipse, Visual Studio Code. I think it's probably got more users. I used to use Eclipse when I did Java programming, but with Python, C, I use Visual Studio Code. Now my Arduino course, I don't use C++, but here it is. It's installing Visual Studio Code. I clicked on download, drag it over to applications. In my Arduino course, I use C code, not C++, because I want my students to learn about memory and registers, as our goal is to understand how to build computers and how they work. Now here, at this point, when you get to welcome to VSCode, okay, we're going to click and not install Microsoft's GitHub Copilot. Recently, they started charging money for this on a token basis, so you don't know what you're going to spend. So I'm using other tools, free tools. We'll use what's built into VSCode, plus we'll use, for AI and code completion, we'll use Windsurf. Now it's asking you what color scheme you want. See, Windsurf also has forked, meaning taken a copy of Visual Studio Code and branded it and added their own tools in it. But we don't need that. In fact, there's another version of that which goes beyond that. It's become like a LLM kind of programmer, you know? Like saying, Claude Code, write this code for me. No, we just need some assistance writing code. We do need assistance with pushing things to the GitHub repository. We'll see the Visual Studio Code will do some of that. Now I'm checking here to see, okay, I'm going to disable GitHub Copilot chat. Like I said, Microsoft is charging for it on a time basis. My students have no money. I like to pay a fixed price for tools. So quit using this Copilot. So I'm going to disable that. Now I'm installing Windsurf plugin, formerly called Codium. Tells you it works with JavaScript, Python, C. Now it's going to open up the Windsurf web page. It's free, but I've already got an account. You'll have to create an account when you get to this screen. Now, PlatformIO IDE. We've already explained why we're using this. So we're going to install this. Notice it's got 7 million downloads. It supports all kinds of devices, microcontrollers. It's a professional tool for embedded systems engineers. And it's going to take a little while to install it. So in the meantime, I'm going to go write a little C program and show you how to just install that without, when you're not working with PlatformIO. So I'm going to check, see if Microsoft C++ is installed, the extension. It's already installed, okay? That's got 102 million downloads. 102 million downloads. That should give you an idea how many people are using this thing. Now I'm at the terminal. I'm in the bash shell. Here's some bash commands. You should learn bash commands. I'm making a directory. from a project called make directory install PlatformIO. Just give it some descriptive name. First I did pwd, that says print working directory, tells you where you are. The cd means change directory. Now I just typed 2 letters and hit tab and it filled it in. ls means list what's there. Nothing's there yet. Then here I'm going to say which bash. It tells me that bash is in the bin directory. That's like Windows System 32. It's built right into the operating system. Now in Visual Studio Code, I've opened that folder. Now we're just going to write a little simple hello world program. Now notice I put the suffix .c, not CPP. Microsoft's telling me, or it's not Microsoft anymore. It's telling me to install C++. I already checked that. Okay, now this is Windsurf helping me write code, right? I'm going to say include the standard C header, and then look, it's taking the guess. It says this must be guy wanting to write hello world, so it does that. Now it's important that you press save. There's no auto save here. Every time you save something. Now I'm using because I already had Xcode tools in my environment. I'm using a software update list and install to install that. I tried to clean up my system to show you what a brand new install would look like, but you could use brew install or actually use Xcode select install. That sets up the C compiler and all the development tools for the Mac. Now, look at this real quick. Okay, what I've done here is I said, okay, now at the top of VSCode, there's a thing that says terminal. Now notice in the top of the code, there's your C code. Below it says different outputs, different like ports, debug, terminal. Terminal is the same thing as the bash shell. Okay, so I'm going to type gcc hello world.c. Because that GCC is the like the open source C compiler. And I didn't give it any arguments. It's got a bunch of arguments you can give it. So here I could type ls to list what's there, but I'm going to say gcc hello world.c. I didn't tell it what name to call it. I didn't say -o equals something. So we called it a.out. And now if we run a.out, you'll see. Okay, it runs hello world. Voila, fancy. Okay, now I went to the PlatformIO icon left because that's installed. I'm going to say pick a folder where my project will go. I'll pick the folder we just created. Now I click the home and it takes us to the home screen of the extension. This is an extension to VS Code. Okay, I'm going to make the project, give it some name. Now select board. Look, it has 1,509 different kind of microcontrollers and devices here. It works with that many. Here I'm going to type search for Arduino Uno. Even Arduino has many different devices. Okay, I got that one. Okay, it's saying it's going to set up a project structure. You have your source code folder, you have your compiled code folder, lib folder to bring in other things, other packages, a platform INI that tells something about the environment that you're using. All right, well, first of all, here we're going to replace the code they gave us. The code they gave us as a default is designed to work for all devices. I'm just going to say, I'm going to put in some code to work with Arduino. Okay, now, anyway, okay, it's building. I do build. I don't have to do GCC. I say build. It builds the code. Then you say upload. It uploads it to the Arduino card. If you were using the Arduino IDE, it would ask some more information like what port do you want? Here it does it automatically. Then you do monitor. Why do you do monitor instead of run? Because in Arduino, when you upload something, it's running. It's out of your control. It's over there on the hardware now. Okay, now I'm going to talk about GitHub. Programmers hate GitHub because even the most advanced ones don't always understand it. But every company, every large company, every computer project uses this because it lets multiple people work on the same code at the same time. You'll see that TikTok, Facebook, OpenAI, Microsoft, everyone uses GitHub. Okay, anyway, so it has command line option that you can use the command line. Fortunately, VSCode has this source control button here, which will help us navigate it somewhat. But at the end here, I'm going to put a slide with some commands and the general process so you can understand what it's doing. And anyway, here we go. So, all right, first of all, okay, when you click the source code control button, if you've never done that, it's going to ask you to log into GitHub. Now, you log in with your password. Okay, GitHub, though, beyond that, no longer supports password for command line operations. You have to use SSH keys. You won't have to do that in this example here. Now, okay, here's the code here. Now, I'm going to make some small change so that we can do what's called a commit. Commit means to stage a change. Doesn't mean to push it up anywhere yet. Remember, your code is here locally on your computer, but we're going to put it on the internet in the GitHub repository. So I'm making a change here. I'm going to go up and select the option to commit change. It will ask you to put some kind of message. Just put something descriptive. Now it's asking me to do pull rebase. So normally you can do pull. What is pull? See, I went outside here and right into the web page and typed some instructions. I didn't type them inside here. So now there is stuff on the internet that is not locally. So pull means pull down those things. I'm going to have to do pull rebase because I made quite a large change there. Normally you make all your changes here directly, but this pull rebase is to recover from that. And also periodically VSCode will do fetch if you tell it you want to do that. What is fetch? If you're working on a project team with lots of people on it, fetch means it'll pull down other people's changes. Now showing the output, you can see the commands. Now push. Push is the, okay, after you've done you do the commit. You don't normally need to do pull. If you've been using this, you won't need to use pull. I mean, if you've been using it by yourself, you don't need to use pull. You do commit, then you do push. Push puts on your internet GitHub repository. You configure that repository by adding remote.